What if I told you that long before Greece gave us philosophers and before Rome built its empire, there existed a civilization more ancient, more refined, and yet it vanished almost without a trace. A kingdom that thrived in peace, ruled the seas, built palaces with no defensive walls, and may have been the very birthplace of the myth of the Minotaur. Imagine a world where power didn't come from conquest, but from ritual, sacred architecture, and beauty. A world where women danced with bulls in spiritual ceremonies. Where gods weren't worshipped in towering marble temples, but in vibrant chambers painted with color and life hidden deep inside a labyrinth of symbolism and mystery. That was the world of the Minoans, a brilliant civilization that rose on the island of Crete over 4,000 years ago, and then disappeared as if it had never been. They were fearless architects, master seafarers, and guardians of secrets we still struggle to comprehend. Today, we step into the ruins of Knossos, the palace once attributed to King Minos. But this wasn't just a palace. It was a symbol-laden maze filled with hidden rooms, ancient rites, and untold stories buried beneath ash, stone, and time itself. So, the question is, did the Minotaur ever truly exist? Or was the story crafted to conceal something far darker? Stay with me. What you're about to hear might just force you to rethink everything you thought you knew about the ancient world. Because this isn't just history. ... This is the forgotten heartbeat of who we are. Long before the city of Athens rose from the dust, long before Roman gladiators set foot in the Colosseum... there existed a powerful, vibrant, and wealthy civilization right in the heart of the Mediterranean Sea. They were the Minoans, but here's the truth. They never called themselves that. The name Minoan only appeared over 3,000 years after their disappearance. Coined by British archaeologist Arthur Evans in the early 20th century, after he unearthed the ruins of a vast palace at Knossos. He believed these ruins were linked to the myth of King Minos, the ruler who imprisoned the Minotaur in a labyrinth. And so, the lost civilization was named Minoan. But behind that name was a real world that once existed, from around 3000 BCE to 1450 BCE. The Minoan civilization flourished on the island of Crete centuries before classical Greece was even born. While other empires built their strength on warfare and bloodshed, the Minoans chose art, architecture, and religion as their pillars of power. They built no fortress walls, no legions like Rome, no warrior caste like Sparta. And yet they possessed something even more formidable: absolute naval dominance, and a vision far ahead of their time. The sea was their soul. From Crete, their ships reached across ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, the Near East, and the Balkans. They traded pottery, olive oil, art, gold, and silver, bringing back knowledge, symbols, and spiritual ideas from every shore. Minoan ships once ruled the Mediterranean, not with swords, but with strategy, elegance, and vision. They were merchants, they were painters, they were master builders, but above all, they were people who believed in beauty, in the divine, and in a hidden cosmic order that pulsed beneath all things. And yet, how could such a magnificent empire simply vanish, leaving behind almost no trace? That question still haunts archaeologists to this very day. Knossos was never just a palace. It was the beating heart of the Minoan civilization, where religion, power, and commerce were not separate entities, but one seamless force pulsing through stone and ritual. In 1900, British archaeologist Arthur Evans began excavating ruins buried deep beneath the soil of Crete. What he uncovered was unlike anything Europe had ever seen. A sprawling complex of over 1,000 rooms, spiraling corridors, multi-level staircases, and a water management system so advanced it surpassed many medieval European cities. But the most astonishing part, the entire structure resembled a massive labyrinth. It's no coincidence that the legend of the Minotaur, half-man, half-bull creature trapped in a maze by King Minos, was born here. Knossos is the root of that myth. But if the story was an exaggeration, what was really moving through those twisting corridors? And then something even more shocking. The palace of Knossos had no defensive walls, no fortresses, no gates, no moats, because the Minoans did not fear war. They built a society grounded in peace, beauty, faith, and balance, not conquest. Across the surviving frescoes, we see scenes of bull-leaping rituals infused with spiritual energy and symbolic power. We see women at the center of sacred ceremonies, gazes fierce and focused like high priestesses, mediators between the mortal world and the divine. Knossos was more than stone and architecture. It was the mind and soul of an entire civilization, a place where myth and reality collided and left behind questions we're still struggling to answer. Around 1450 BCE, one of the most refined and advanced civilizations of the ancient world, the Minoans vanished suddenly and without warning. There was no great battle recorded, no empire declared victory, only a strange silence in the historical record, a gaping void where a once brilliant kingdom simply went dark. To this day, archaeologists and historians remain divided on the cause, but two dominant theories theories loom like shadows over the ruins. First, one of the most cataclysmic volcanic eruptions in human history. The eruption of modern-day Santorini struck around that time. The Earth's fury unleashed massive tsunamis that devastated Minoan port cities, obliterating the fleets that were the lifeblood of their trade and power. This wasn't just a natural disaster. It was a precision strike to the heart of their civilization. Second, in the aftermath of that chaos, a rising force from the Greek mainland, the Mycenaeans began to move in. They seized Knossos, took control of what remained, and gradually absorbed Minoan culture into their own expanding empire. It's likely that it was not one, but both nature's wrath, followed by human conquest, that together sealed the final chapter of Minoan greatness. And then, they were forgotten. For thousands of years, their name was never spoken. No chronicles, no memory, only dust, silence, and the slow erasure of time. Until one day broken shards, collapsed walls, and the maze of Knossos began to whisper to us from beneath the earth, begging us to remember what was almost lost forever. In an ancient world dominated by conquest, bloodshed, and iron-fisted rule, the Minoans chose a different path. They did not build their empire through war. They did not carve their legacy into foreign lands with sword and spear. Instead, they created a civilization rooted in art, trade, and profound spiritual belief. And somehow they flourished. The Minoan legacy reminds us of a truth we often forget. It is not only warriors and conquerors who deserve a place in history. The Palace of Knossos, with its winding corridors like streams of consciousness, its vibrant frescoes, and its myth-laced labyrinth was never just stone and mortar. It is a living witness to the elegance, humanity, and beauty that once thrived in the heart of the Mediterranean. The Minoans may be gone, but their story, if we listen closely enough, still echoes in the hearts of those who value the sacred whispers of the past. Do you believe the Minotaur is just a myth, or the ruined trace of a truth that was never fully told? Share your thoughts below. Every whisper is worth hearing. And if you feel the past was never truly silent, subscribe. Because history isn't dead, it's waiting to be awakened.